अवज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, chapter number 6, verse number 33. Sri Maitreya Rishi is explaining how Lord manifested the cosmic body and how the various parts appeared, and then how the 3 planetary systems came from this cosmic form. And then he was explaining the appearance of the 4 varnas. Brahmanas came from the mouth, Kshatriyas from the arms, and Vaishyas from the thighs. And now he speaks about the 4th one. Says Padbhyam Bhagavato Jagye Shushusha Dharma Siddhaye Tasyam Jataha Pura Shudro Yadvitya Tushyate Harihi. From the feet of the Lord, the Shushrusa appeared, service. And service was for perfection of dharma. So earlier we read 3 varnas and there are 3 dharmas. Brahmana's dharma is study of the Vedas, and Kshatriya's dharma is to protect, and Vaishya's dharma is to supply food and requirement for people. But all these 3 cannot be completed or perfected without seva. So he says Sushusha Dharma Siddhaya, and seva came from the feet of the Lord. And Tasyam Jataha Pura Shudra, and the Sudra, they also came from the service, or they appeared for the sake of service. And Yadvritya Tushyate Hari, and Lord Hari or Krishna, he is pleased by service. So although previously it was said that Brahmanas are great, they are coming from the mouth and they are the Guru, and Kshatriyas protect, and then Vaishyas, they are also great because they maintain. But now he says that it is Sudra who performs service, and Lord is pleased only by service. And it is through service that perfection comes. So this is the principle, that without service or devotion, bhakti, nothing becomes perfect. Even if one has to attain knowledge, like Brahmanas, they have to study, then they have to do service. So the meaning is that all these three classes of people, they have to perform their duty as a service to the Lord. Then only it will bring perfection, otherwise not. So service is the factor, or it is actually the life of dharma. So therefore it says Sushrusha Dharma Siddhai, that Sushrusha or service was created from the feet of the Lord, Pariham, for bringing fruition, perfection or completion of dharma. So there are four purusharthas of human life: dharma, artha, kama and moksha. And there are four varnas related to these four purusharthas. Brahmana is related with moksha. So that's why according to the Smriti Shastra, it is only Brahmana who takes sannyas. And Kshatriyas are related with Kama, and Vaishyas are related to Artha, and Shudras are related with Dharma. So Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. But among the four, the Sudras are the best because they perform Dharma for the sake of Dharma. Because a Vaishya will perform Dharma for the sake of Artha, and Kshatriya will perform Dharma for the sake of Kama, and Brahmana will perform Dharma for the sake of Moksha. They will perform their prescribed duties because they want Moksha. But Shudra will do his Dharma for the sake of Dharma because that's his duty. His duty is only to do Dharma. His duty is to serve. And service is only for the sake of service. So that's why it says that Yad Vrittya Tushyate Hari, that it is only by this vritti, this function of Sudra, that Lord is pleased. So if a Kshatriya is doing his job or a Brahmana is doing his job, then Lord is not pleased. Unless they do it for the pleasure of the Lord. But if simply they do their dharma, their respective duties, then it is not pleasing. So therefore it is said that the Varna's duties are meant to please the Lord. Varnashrama acharvata purushena puman Vishnur aradhate panthan anyat tattoshakarana. That Vishnu is pleased only by aradhana, by service, and this Varnashrama is meant to please Vishnu. So the original purpose of Varnashrama is to bring pleasure to Lord Vishnu, because he is the source of it. Therefore Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Yata pravritti bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tamam bharcha siddhim yati man. That the Lord from whom all the pravrittis are coming, all the inclinations of people, they are coming from the Lord, as we are seeing. And he is the one who is all pervading. Yena sarvamidam tatam, he is existing. That's why he is called Vishnu, means who has entered into everything, or he exists everywhere. So he says that swakarmana tam abhyarcha Siddhim vindati manava. By performing one's karma as worship of this person from whom we have come, that brings perfection in our life, siddhi. Otherwise, one will remain incomplete. So this is the simple formula or principle behind Varnashram system. And because it is not understood now at all, then people criticize this Varnashram. It is only to exploit. Of course, if you don't understand the principle, then whoever has power will exploit the weaker. So if Kshatriya is having power, he will exploit. If Vaishya has his money power, he will exploit. Brahmana has knowledge power. If Brahmana has power of knowledge. Kshatriya has physical power. Vaishya has money power. And Shudra is powerless. So he will be exploited then. And it is a fact, and this happens. Because power has this nature to exploit others if it is not used for the service. If knowledge is not used in service, then one will simply fight with others, argue, or exploit. Vidya vivadaya dhanam madaya shakti paresam paripidanaya. Vidya, knowledge is for debating, quarreling with others, trying to show how others are wrong. Now you can go on net these days, all the time some debates are going on. So these blogs are full, and they have groups, everybody is giving their opinion. So this is Vidya Vivadaya and Dhanam Madaya. And if somebody has wealth, then he is proud of that. And Shakti Paresham Paripurana. Somebody has physical power, then trouble others. But all these things, if they are used in the service of the Lord, then they become good attributes. So for that reason this verse says that this was created for Dharma Siddhi. It is a very important verse. And how the service was created for perfection in life. So everybody is serving in this material world. Everybody is a servant, and especially now because there is a democracy, and in that the leaders, they are selected by vote. So what do? They actually promise service. Whoever can convince people that they will serve better, they get the vote. So their leadership is depending, even if it is false promise, but it depends on service. If they do actually good service, then definitely they will be elected again. But if simply they say that I want to rule and don't talk about service, then nobody will want. So you can apply this formula in every field of life, that service brings happiness. Because this is the only thing which pleases the Lord. Yad vritya tushyate hari. But there is nothing else. If somebody is very knowledgeable, he has studied Vedas, then it's not pleasing to the Lord if he is not utilizing the knowledge in the service. So Shudra and service, they came from the feet of the Lord. So now you know that earlier we read that Vishnu is the presiding deity of the feet. Of course there is explanation that this Vishnu is not Lord Vishnu but some other. But in any case the service is also coming from there. So we as devotees, we also consider ourselves as servant ultimately. Because although in the Varnashram, Shudra is specifically designed to do service, and this service is based on the physical body. and the gunas. But if we go beyond that and consider the soul, then soul is actually the servant. Jiva Swarup Hai Krishna Nitya Das and Chaitanya Charitamrita said that the constitutional position of Jiva is servant. So Sudra is actually doing that already. This is his duty. So that means he is naturally doing what the Jiva is supposed to do. That's why he is better than everybody else, although he is usually considered as the lowest of the four. So in the material world there is a system that material nature tries to balance. If the air pressure decreases in this room, then the air will naturally flow from all around to fill that gap. Creates a balance. If there is a wet water will always go towards the down place just to bring the balance, unless it comes to the level. So Sudra is considered as low, but he is the one who pleases the Lord, he is balanced. Brahmana may be very high, but Sudra is said that Yad Vrittya Tushyate Hari, that it is by his vritti, his duty, that Lord is pleased. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Susrusha Paricharya. Susrusha means Paricharya, which means to serve. Karmano Varnashram Dharmasya Siddhaya. And it is for perfection of Varnashram Dharma. Because Varnashram Dharma has its goal or purpose, and that is to realize God. This is Bhagavad Gita's conclusion ultimately. Therefore it says that one should not give up one's duty. Swadharme maranam shreya paradharma bhayavaha. That one should perform one's duty and not the others. But it has to be done with Susrusha. It says, Susrusham vina karma matra seva siddhir na bhavati. It says, without Susrusha, the karma or dharma cannot be perfected. One cannot attain result properly. So even in the material world, if you work in the office and if you do your service nicely, then you get promoted or you get a raise. But if you don't serve properly, then you don't get it. So service is necessary everywhere. Sa sudrasya vrittir bhavanti api vastutah sarva varniki eva iti bhava. So he says that although this service is supposed to be the function of a Shudra, but he says that in reality it is meant for all Varnas. That means everybody, whether Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya, must consider themselves as servant. Tasyam Vishe Shudro Jata hai. Padvyam iti says. So for this reason the Shudra was born from the feet of the Lord. Yad Vritya Haris Tushyati. Lord is pleased with this. Vedadibhyo api Shushrusayam Utkarsha Suchita. So he says that by saying this, that Lord is pleased by service, it is shown that service is even superior to the study of the Vedas. So if Lord, therefore, there are so many statements that if one is engaged in devotional service or chanting of the name, then he has studied the Vedas, he has performed all duties, he has gone to all the holy places, because this is the highest. So Jiva Goswami also writes, he says, Swadharma Vityadau Kevalena Swadharmena Bhagavato Sanangikana. That if one does only one's prescribed duty and not service, then it is not pleasing to the Lord, it does not satisfy him. So one can do this duty, Varnashram duty, in two ways. One can just do because it is the duty, or one can do it as service to the Lord. So it is the second one which is prescribed here, and not just the first one. When the first one is done, then that is called, these are the people who are called smartas, and they are doing it. But Bhagavatam is improvising on that smarta varnashram, and Gita has also done the same thing. Means they follow the smriti, manusmriti, in which they don't talk about devotion. They talk only about your varna, your duty, and you have to do it. But here it is linked with the devotion. So that's why in the Bhagavatam it is said that Bhagavatam will speak about the supreme dharma. So there is dharma according to varnas and ashramas, and then there is the ultimate dharma, which is related with the soul, and that is bhakti. So we have to link up our dharma in relationship with body with the ultimate dharma. That means everything has to be subservient to the ultimate dharma of service to the Lord. Whether we are painters or artists or shopkeepers or politicians or whatever, then it becomes perfect. Then he gives the conclusion after speaking about all the four varnas. Then he says, Ete varnaha swadharmena yajanti swagurum harim Sraddhaya atma vishuddhyartham yajjata sahavrittibhi. Says all these varnas, they worship Lord Hari by their respective dharma, who is Swaguru, who is the Guru for everyone. So ultimate Guru is Krishna. Acharya mam vijaniyat nav manyeta karhichat. And the purpose of every varna is to serve him. Yajanti. They perform all these duties as a sacrifice to the Lord. So this varna duties which we had before, this is natural for that particular class. For the Brahmanas, study of the Vedas, teaching the Vedas, doing sacrifice, this is a natural. So that is Swadharma. But he has to do this Swadharma as an offering to the Lord. That means he has to use his speech for worship of the Lord. Because Brahmana was born from the mouth and his job is to study and speak. Then similarly, Kshatriya has to worship the Lord by giving protection to people so that they can perform their service to the Lord. So just like you have temples, you may have guards. So guards are also necessary so that pujaris can do their service properly. Not that they are thieves attacking and stealing. So that is the job of Kshatriya, to give protection to the humanity so that they can engage in their Swadharma, in their respective duties for the sake of the Lord. And then Vaishyas, they have to offer objects for service. Whatever is needed, they have to produce that. So much industry now, so many things. So they have to produce it for the service sake. And Shudra has to do service directly. He doesn't have to do anything else. So really speaking, it is Shudra who is doing just the service directly. It's not doing something else as service. It's not protecting for the sake of service, but it is service for the sake of service. So this is the easiest. There is no difficulty in it. The Vasya has to make money and then offer it to the Lord for his service. But Shudra will do service. So the other meaning is that although this is prescribed that a Kshatriya has to protect or fight, or a Brahmana has to teach and so on, but if somebody wants, he can just do service and give up his Swadharma. Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayami vasacha. So that can also be done. Because if service is the highest, then Brahmana can also give up his Swadharma and just do service. Kshatriya can also do that. But of course Shudra is already doing it.
This is considered higher?
This is the highest. Because if this is the thing which is pleasing, then he can also do that. And that is even better. So why not just do service? So although it was said earlier that Ete Varna Swadharmena Yajanti Swagurum Hari, that all these Varnas, they worship Lord Hari, who is the Guru, because he is the one who gives knowledge, by doing their Swadharma, their respective duties. But one can also just do service directly. And next thing is that it has to be done with faith, Shraddhaya. Means one must have Shraddha in one's Swadharma. Not that one is thinking that it is being forced on me. And one must have this Shraddha that by doing this I will achieve the goal of my life. So Shraddhaya Atma Vishuddhiyartham. And it has to be done for the purification of oneself. So by doing Swadharma, one becomes purified, and then ultimately one comes to pure devotion. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita there is a very interesting dialogue between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy, and then he is asking him that what is pleasing to the Lord. So he goes on telling different things, beginning from Swadharma. And the first thing he says is that everybody should perform their duty. Yat karosi yadasnasi yat jihosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kante tat karosva madarpanam. This verse in Bhagavad Gita speaks. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this is external and speak further. So this is good that one is performing one's duty and offering the fruits to Krishna, but this is not direct devotion. So direct devotional service of course needs purification of the heart, which means person has to be free from desires. If the person has particular nature, then accordingly there are desires. If somebody is a Kshatriya, then he has natural desire to rule, control, enjoy. manage things. It's his natural tendency, these thoughts will come. So he has to purify first by dovetailing this nature in the service. And then by doing that, he can come to just doing service. So therefore he says, Shraddhaya Atma Vishuddhi Artham. That if one does this with Shraddha, then it will purify. And purification means coming to realize this fact that actually I am a servant of the Lord and my only goal is to do service and nothing else. Not dharma, artha, kama and moksha, but only service. So that is called purity of the heart. So this is direct and there is no steps in between, and easiest. So therefore he says yad vrittya yad jata sah vritti bhi, that this person is born with his vrittis or duties. So if he is not going to do this, avoid, then there will be confusion in the humanity. The problems are also coming that we are not performing our duties properly, or we are trying to do other person's duty. So then there are problems. Then the system becomes upset, imbalanced. And since we do not know the ultimate purpose, then this imbalance goes on increasing, because we try to balance it without knowing how to balance. So therefore he says, if one has Shraddha, then one will not do something different than what is one's Swadharma. So Shraddha has to be there for everybody. Sahavritti bhir Hari bhajne जीविकार्थम चिंता न कार्यति भाव. So he says that if one performs this vritti or one's duties, functions for the sake of worship of the Lord, then one should not be in anxiety for one's maintenance. जीविकार्थम चिंता न कार्यति. So this is also now difficult to accept this fact, because our lives have become so complicated that how is it possible that somebody can survive now? And the reason for that is that the whole society is not based on varnashram. The way people are performing their duties, then they will be maintained. So whether you read Bhagavad Gita or here, the Brahmanas, their duty was just studying, performing sacrifices and giving charity, but there is no mention how they will get money. Same with Kshatriya, there is no mention how they will get money. Out of 4 Varnas, 3 Varnas, they are not doing anything for making money. It's only the Vaishya who are supposed to make artha. So how is it possible that 3/4 of the society is not contributing to economy and still the society can function? Now people are already feeling burdened because there are people who are old age and they have to be supported by the working class. Everybody has to work, and even then the economy is not doing so good. And here it was only the Vaishyas, and they were also only Vaishyas who were capable of doing it. Once they become old, they will also not do business. So 1/4 of the society was maintaining the other 3/4. So this is possible, as he says that Hari Yajne Jivikartham Chintana Karyati. That if you do Hari Yajan, worshipping Lord Hari, then there is no chinta. एतत् क्षत्तर भगवतो दैव कर्मात्म रूपिणः कैश्रद्ध्यादुपाकर्तुं योग माया बलोदयम्. So now he is concluding this chapter. He says that, O Vidura, this is the form of the Lord which I have described to you. And this form consists of Daiva, Karma and Atma. Which means Daiva means Kala and Karma and Swabhava. So these are the three features which make the cosmic form. There is time, because we saw how time was acting on each element, beginning from Prakriti, Mahatattva. Time was involved in each one. And then karma, because we also read that it is the karma of the jivas which made for it to come into existence. And then there is a swabhava. Each element has its own swabhava, its own characteristic, distinct from the others. They have the water has its own characteristics, fire has its own characteristics. So this form is made of these three things: Kala, Karma and Swabhava. And he says, Kashradhyat Upakartum. He says, who can explain this completely? Yoga Maya Balodayam. Because Lord is manifesting the nature by the power of his Yoga Maya. So what he is saying is that it is not possible to describe everything. I have given a short summary, because there are so many universes and every universe is different and maybe created in a different manner. Different varieties are there. So he has just explained one, and it is not possible for him to describe anything. So it says, Daiva karmatmanaha kala karma swabhava sviya saktitvad rupani. So kala karma and swabhava, time, karma and nature, these are the energies of the Lord and cosmic being manifested by this. Tadvataha yog maya balena udayo. And this came into existence by the power of Lord's Yoga Maya, because he is the one who entered into everything to bring it to life. Tadetat viswam upakartum samastena nirupiyatum kashraddadhyat ichet. So he says it is not even possible to think that one can describe it completely. In 5th canto, Parikshit Maharaj asked question to Sukadeva Goswami about the structure of the universe. So Sukadeva Goswami, he describes, but before he begins to describe, he says that even if one lives the lifespan of Brahma, it is not possible to describe the universe, because it is so vast, so big. We know from the science that there are stars which take millions of years of time to reach the earth. That means if their light is starting now, it will reach earth after a million years. The light from sun, which is the closest luminous star, takes 10 minutes to reach earth at the rate of 1,86,000 miles per second. In 1 second it travels 1,86,000 miles, and it takes 10 minutes. And after that the next star, which is the closest, takes 4 years. Means if the light starting today, it will reach Earth after 4 years. There are stars from where the light started and it has never reached Earth. It's so far away. And there are so many galaxies. So who can describe this? Because our lifespan is so limited. So he says, Shraddhyat, Shraddadhyat Ichchet. He says, who will even desire to describe it completely? Nobody. Ichchapi ashakya nirupanam tu dubdha. So even to think like that is not possible. But to speak of actually describing, so it's completely out of question. Not possible. Because it has come by the power of Lord's Yogamaya. And Yogamaya can do all kinds of things. You read Krishna's pastimes. And then Lord Brahma stole the calves and cowherd boys. And then when he came back, he saw everybody was there. Then he saw all these cowherd boys that turned into 400 Vishnus. And each Vishnu was being worshipped, all these material elements. Like we saw how the material elements were praying in the previous chapter, they were praying to the Vishnu personified. So he saw so many, he was completely dazed. He has only heard of one Vishnu. And now he saw hundreds and thousands of Vishnu. Wherever he sees Vishnu. So this is Yogamaya. Can do such amazing things. So he says the power of Yogamaya is so great that it is not possible to describe. So then what is to be done? Shall we stop describing or continue describing? So he says, Athapi kirtayami anga yathamati yathashrutam kirtim hare swam satkartum giramanya vidha satim. He says, still I will glorify the fame of Lord Hari as I have heard according to my intelligence. Why is that? It says to purify my speech, which have been made impure by speaking so many other things. So whatever knowledge we have, we can speak about that. Whatever we have heard, we can talk about that. Then that will purify our speech. We read earlier that we have to serve the Lord. And to serve the Lord we need pure instruments. If we have to make an offering to the Lord, then the plate must be clean. You cannot use an impure plate. So similarly, if we have to glorify the Lord, then our speech must be pure. So speech in Sanskrit is called Vani, which is feminine gender. It's like a female. So she must be chaste. Chaste means she should be devoted only to the husband and not to somebody else. So husband is Krishna. Means the speech must be used only for the sake of Krishna. And if it is being used for something else, then it becomes unchaste. So he says, Anya Abhidha, that if it is speech is used for describing material talks or material activities, and we use our ears for that, then they cannot be used in the service of the Lord. We have to purify them. And how they can be purified? Only by hearing and speaking. So out of all the senses, these two senses are very, very important, which must be protected from impurity. That is hearing and speaking. And if these two can be protected, then all other senses will be protected. Because hands, even if they do wrong act, suppose you slap somebody, you kill somebody, you can stop it after some time and then it is not impure anymore if you want to do something. But if you think with the mind, then all the samskaras are going by hearing, by talking, and they will give you more thoughts and make you act improperly. So these other senses like smelling, hands, talking, these are not so problematic working as speech and hearing. So because Maitreya is speaking here, so he specifically he's talking specifically of speech, because he is the teacher. So he says that Athapi kirtayami anga. So he is referring to Vidura in a very affectionate manner, like my boy. I will speak, I will describe the activities of the Lord. Yathamati yathasruta. And he says that I am not going to concoct something, but what I have heard, and out of that also what he has understood. That means we should also not speak things which we don't understand. We hear many things, does not mean we understand everything. So many places in Bhagavatam this word come together, yathamati yathasrutam. Sut Goswami also said this earlier. So after hearing we have to digest it. It's very important. And once we have digested, then we can speak to others. So that is the meaning of yathamati yathasrutam. Kirtim hare swam satkartum. So as to make myself purified, so that my speech, which have been polluted by talking of other mundane things. Giram anyabhidhasiti. Asati. Asati means like an unchaste woman is called asati, who is running here and there to different men. So then it becomes purified. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Yathashrutam Guru Mukhat. So Yathashrutam means as I have heard it from the mouth of the Guru. So hearing also has to be from the proper source. It's not that we hear. Now in India there are many channels and they are only giving spiritual lectures day and night. You open it, always some Swami is speaking. From yoga or bhakti or jnana or something. Always there is no lack of association now. Satsanga. So all the big sadhus are coming and giving lecture. So he says Guru Mukhat, that you hear from your teacher, so that you hear continuously. Otherwise today you hear from one person, tomorrow from another person, then another. Many people do that. They are always changing channels. This is also being unchaste. Really. Because then you take one thing from here, another thing from there, another thing from there. So you basically take what you like. And then if you don't like, you don't want it. But that way your knowledge does not become stable, fixed. So it's like shopping. You can shop. Tatrapi yathamati swabuddhya yavad grihitam tavade. And not only that, whatever I have heard, that I am going to speak all that, may yadya deva srutam, but what I have understood with my intelligence, that I will Means what he is speaking, he understands, he is clear about it, not confused. Anyabhidha harivatirikta katha taya asati malinam. And this other, or the talks which are not related with the Lord Hari, they are impure or polluting. So I am not interested in that. Swiyam vacham satkartum pavitrikartum. So first he says that really speaking, he is speaking for purifying his own speech. He is not even telling Vidura that I am speaking because I want to purify you, or I want you to become elevated. But saying that I am speaking because I want to purify my own speech. Otherwise, question may be raised that if in the previous verse he said that it is not possible to describe the Lord, so then why is he attempting? So now he says that two things, I cannot describe him completely, but what I have heard and understood, that I will describe, and that also I am doing for my own purification. So this is, as we see in case of Vyasadeva, Narada Muni, they also came and heard from Sukadeva. There was no need for them to hear because it is Sri Narada who gave the order to Vyasa to write Bhagavatam, and he gave him the 4 slokas which he has heard from Brahma. And Vyasa is the one who compiled Bhagavatam after sitting in Samadhi. And still they are hearing from Sukadeva. So this is relation. So in the same way he is saying that I am doing it because I want to purify. So of course he is a great devotee himself, Maitreya. He heard directly from Krishna. So there is nothing for him to purify, but out of humility he says like this, that the speaker should not think that he is only doing it as a favor to others. But it is, Harikatha is like this, it purifies the speaker when he hears. So in Bhagavatam 10th Canto, first chapter, it is written that it purifies 3 people, Vakta, Shrota, Tatha Preksha. One who speaks, one who hears, and one who asks the question. So all 3, they are purified. So for that reason he is continuing to talk. We'll stop here.
About this Shuddha, they are considered below the lowest of the 4 Dharma. So then everybody else has a different power, like the Brahmanas, and they have a characteristic. But the Shuddha, they don't have any power, right? They don't have physical power, they don't have intellectual power. They are just like using their own body, basically, to serve, in the sense to do the work directly what is needed. So, why is this considered like they don't have any power in that sense?
You already said that they don't have,
Yeah,
they are not physically strong, they don't have money, they don't have knowledge of the Vedas. So
why is designed that some part of the society has to be like that?
It's not designed, its nature is like that. You have your physical body, so does your feet think? You think with your mind.
So
Now you say why it is designed like this, my feet should also think.
That sense. I thought that okay, also this doing the physical work or executing, is also some kind of
Power, of course, if you want to think, but is it not clear to you that they are not physically strong? They are not learning martial arts. They don't have wealth. They are also not knowledgeable. So what do you mean by power? Of course, you can say their power is service. That other people can overpower. If somebody is physically strong, you can make this guy slave and make him work.
because to do any work you need a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of
A
study.
little bit is alright, but if you have to sweep, then how much knowledge you need for that? Yeah, knowledge means knowledge of the Veda, doing sacrifice, philosophy. See what knowledge means. Otherwise, everybody has some knowledge. Everybody has some power. Brahma has to do work, he also has power, but he cannot go in the battlefield and fight. You also must have some wealth. You have to live and eat.
And about this wealth, if somebody has faith and executes his duties with faith, he doesn't have to worry about the maintenance or the sustenance. It's also this point of having faith in doing the proper their own duties. They will solve these maintenance type of things. But now, as you said, the society is disbalanced, basically. Because there are the Brahmanas who are just like sitting and studying. They don't consume, they just eat.
So that is gone now.
I read of another classification, and this doesn't take into account the Shudras, but speaks only about Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmana, and it says that Vaishya is concerned with Artha, and Kshatriya with Kama, and Brahmana with Dharma, and then the Moksha, which is the fourth Purushartha, is beyond the caste. There is a connection between these two classifications. The second, what I quoted now, is correct according to you, or there is something to be modified?
Yeah, that is also there, but as I already said, that Bhagavatam is speaking something higher, because it wants to link it with God. And linking with God is by service. And that part is missing in that classification.
Which is the source of this classification I quoted?
I don't know. You said you read it.
I read somewhere, but I don't know what. Just as a statement. And the second question concerning the Gana of Shiva. You spoke about it yesterday. And why the servants or friends of Shiva are so low? So I cannot understand.
Because Shiva is in charge of Tamoguna.
Because of this. And why he was in charge of Tamoguna?
There is no answer for that. Somebody has to be. Just like she said, why the Sudra does not have power. Somebody has to be fit.
Why a woman begets a son? Someone has to do it.
Okay, uno.
You said that in Vedic culture women regard their husband as God. So what happens if the word of the Guru is different? Whose words should be...
Well, in that Vedic culture, then husband was Guru. She will not have a different Guru than husband.
But there must also be women of lower caste. There must also have been women of lower caste.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Their Guru is husband. So lower caste or higher caste, so there is no conflict. Otherwise, she has to serve two people. She has to serve Guru and serve husband.
That's why Anusuya does not pay respect to Ram when he comes, because she was devoted to the husband. The same in Ramayana, that when Ram comes and he visits her house, she does not pay respect to him.
There is no restriction to pay respect. If you respect husband does not mean you don't respect anybody else.
Because she is like the symbol of pativrata.
That does not mean that Pativrata lady will not give respect. Means you will not, don't lose your Pativratya by giving respect.